Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're actually diving into one of Canon's most exciting telephoto lenses for the RF mount, and that is the 70-200 f2.8. If you're considering upgrading your camera kit at this point, you might want to stick around because this lens might be a game changer for your photography career. So let's start with the build. First thing you notice is how compact and lightweight this lens is compared to the traditional 70-200. Now it's just 5.8 inches long when it's retracted and weighs around 2.3 pounds. Now that's a big win for photographers who travel or shoot all day. Despite its compact size, Canon did not skim on durability. It's weather sealed and feels incredibly solid in the hands. Now let's talk about what really matters here, the image quality. This lens delivers sharpness, edge to edge, even wide open at f2.8. Now, to me, the color rendition is vibrant and the contrast is fantastic on this lens. Now, let's take a closer look at some real world example. So for portrait photographers, the bokeh on this lens is incredibly smooth thanks to the 9-blade aperture design. The subject separation on this one, especially at 200mm f2.8, is just unbelievably breathtaking. Now, if you're into wildlife or sports photography, the autofocus on this one is lightning fast. Canon's dual nano USM motors make sure you nail focus every single time. The RF 70-200 f2.8 is not just for portrait, it's a versatile workhorse. You know, at 70mm, it's wide enough for environmental portrait or event coverage as well. Now, if you zoom it all the way into 200mm, it's perfect for compressing the background in landscape photography or capturing actions from a distance. So, I mean, for all the great thing that this lens does, you know, there are a couple things, to me at least, that makes this lens not necessarily that perfect. Mind you, no lens is actually perfect. For one, this one uses an external zoom. For me personally, I don't mind it at all. I know a lot of people actually don't like the external zoom due to, perhaps having, some dust, water go inside the lens itself though. Now, I know a lot of photographers actually prefer the internal zoom, especially when it comes to gimbal work as well. Another thing about this lens is the throw on it. I know it's been mentioned many times, but it's really when you have it, you kind of get what they're saying. So essentially, to get from 70 to 200, you can't actually do it in one motion, right? So you can't necessarily do it in one motion, especially when it's connected to the camera itself. So it's almost like you almost have to break your wrist to get it over to 200. So that's one thing that I don't like about this lens. Keep in mind that I did own the 70-200 f4, which was a lot more compact, a lot lighter than this one, and the throw itself was just perfect. Honestly, in one motion you get from 70 to 200 fairly easily. This one though, you definitely have to get used to it, but man, to get from 70 to 200, it's not necessarily the best system or engineering system that they used on that one though. Still love it though, but man, it's a bitch. Now, the biggest negative about this lens though, and I think everyone's gonna agree with that, is the hefty price associated with this lens. Honestly, if it's not a necessity, I don't think you need it for that much. But for me, I've secured a contract with a hockey league where I'll be the official photographer for their major tournaments though, and it happens quite often though. So I actually do need this, and so it'll pay for itself eventually. But the price tag here, especially in Canada, you're looking at $3,500 though. So it's a lot of change on for a lens though. So you might want to consider that for sure. But to sum it up though, the Canon RF 70-200 f2.8 is a phenomenal lens. I mean, whether you're shooting portraits, landscape, action, or video, it delivers outstanding results in a compact package. So I mean, honestly, if you're a Canon RF user and you're looking for the ultimate telephoto zoom lens, this one is very, very hard to beat. It's so hard to beat that I'm actually thinking of selling my 135 1.8 because this one at 135, despite being at 2.8, delivers incredibly sharp images though. I mean, very comparable to my 135. So for me, honestly, I'm very curious to know what you guys actually think about this beast of a lens here, the 70-200 f2.8. Like I said, I've owned the f4 version. Honestly speaking, during the daytime, in terms of photo comparison, very hard to compare both. Like it's very hard to see the difference between the image qualities between the f4 and the 2.8. Now, why I leaned towards the f2.8 is because I do a lot of event photography as well, and most of it is in really dim lights. In terms of the location itself, is not always well lit though. So when I used my f4, it was struggling a lot, where I had to boost the ISO incredibly high just to get, you know, some usable images. Whereas for the f2.8, you don't have to crank the ISO all that much, and you still get crisp image that you can use and deliver to your client overall. So that said though, honestly, I'm very happy with my purchase. I know, you know, it's a hefty investment, but I know it'll pay for itself eventually. So I'm very curious now, what is your impression of the RF 70-200 f2.8? So on that note, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. What would you shoot with the RF 70-200 f2.8? See you in the next video, guys. Keep shooting. Take care.